Hey Hart fans, Butch Hartman here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do not forget, actually please remember, which also means don't forget. They mean the same thing. That's cool. Don't forget, please remember to hit that subscribe button down below. It always helps when you do that. That way we can be friends, and I so appreciate you guys being here. It's awesome that you subscribe here because you could be anywhere, but you're here. Thank you very much. Okay, Danny Phantom. I love Danny Phantom. One of the favorite shows I've ever created. Just had such a great time working on that show. When a show's going really well and you've got all of your stuff happening, you know, like you've got your writers in the room writing great stories and your artists in the room, you got your voice actors over here doing this, and everything's going really well. All of that has to start from somewhere. A lot of times the shows will start with the concept first, but then you've really got to get into designing the characters. Danny Phantom was a show that started with a concept. I had this idea where I wanted to do a show with a great name, a great title. Like I loved the show Johnny Quest as a kid. And I thought if I can only come up with a cool name like Johnny Quest, like, you know, Billy Smash, or like, you know, Davy Lightning or something like that, that'd be a really cool start for a show idea. And I eventually settled on the word Phantom, and I thought, you know, Billy Phantom, Jimmy Phantom, and I settled on Danny Phantom. So I had the name first. I'm like, Danny Phantom, he's got to fight ghosts, but how does he fight ghosts? Is he kind of like a Ghostbuster guy with a pack on his back and like a, you know, an electronic weapon of some kind? Is he like Scooby-Doo, where he travels around with his friends and a giant oversized dog that maybe just kind of happens to stumble onto ghosts? Now, when you have a show like Danny Phantom, what could those characters possibly look like? That was sort of the challenge we were facing back in the year 2001, 2002 when I first started developing the show. What is Danny going to look like? I started off by designing Danny in sort of a 1950s type of a jumpsuit, like almost like a Legion of Superheroes type of design. Like, you know, these guys, you know, you can see kind of the basic 1950s look. They're all in these jumpsuits. They all have, like, you know, Superman underwear. They have like the shoulder pads. It's almost like a Flash Gordon type of an outfit. And so I was sort of leaning in that direction. And so a lot of the early designs of Danny have him in this jumpsuit. But then I couldn't settle on the final design for Danny. I kept going, what is he going to look like? And this took me months too. I was drawing him for months, and I kept drawing him with dark hair. I mean, because I have dark hair. I used to be a lot darker. And it wasn't until I did a drawing one day and I colored his jumpsuit black, and I was about to color his hair black, and I stopped and I looked at his hair, and it remained white. And I thought, actually, that's pretty cool. Leaving his hair white when he turns into a ghost kid might be kind of cool. So that's when I settled on the white hair. But then once I had the white hair, what was it going to look like? Was it going to be kind of a Billy Idol reference from the 80s? So was it going to be like a Billy Idol kind of a punk, you know, spiky haircut, or was it going to be a flock of seagulls? Again, I don't know. Was he going to have a ponytail? Would he have like really long hair? When I first started designing Danny, I kept drawing him very muscular, like almost like a 70s version of Spider-Man. Now they draw Spider-Man the way I like him, really skinny and scrawny, like he's just a kid coming out of puberty, and he's a guy in a costume. But back in the 70s, they would draw Spider-Man very big and bulky, and I sort of started drawing Danny Phantom that way. I drew him a lot more muscles than he really needed to have at the time. I really had to really lean him down. In the final design of Danny, you see, he's almost like a little rubber, he's almost like a little tube with little tubes for arms and legs, you know, little hoses. So that was really cool. Making him not muscular was the way to go with Danny, and that's the way I really liked it. That's why when I do the Danny Phantom 10 years later videos, it's really cool to kind of see him filled out a little bit more and looking more like a traditional superhero. And with Danny, we had two challenges. We had to design Danny's superhero self and his normal teenage human self, almost his secret identity. So what would that look like? Obviously, I wanted Danny, if he had white hair as a superhero, he'd have black hair as, you know, Danny Phantom. So we started off with that, and then to give him his clothes, what would his clothes be like? I mean, what does a teenager wear? Like, what does a teenager who's sort of not fitting in wear? And what could be a simple look to a character that would be easy to draw, but something that would be iconic, that, you know, you're always kind of thinking this as a cartoonist if you're working on a television show. What kind of a toy could we sell? You know, what kind of a design could we make that people are going to love Danny Phantom, but we want them to love Danny Fenton just as much. Like, you know, with Clark Kent, you put the glasses on, you're Clark Kent. You take them off, you're Superman. I put glasses on, no one can even tell it's me, see? So the Danny Fenton t-shirt with the red circle kind of became the design we went with. And once we had those two designs, it was time to design Danny's friends and his family. And I really relied heavily on the artwork of Steven Silver, a good friend of mine, character designer, and another guy named Shannon Tyndall, who actually worked for me at the time. Super talented artist, and also the director of the movie Kubo and the Two Strings. And you know, everybody starts somewhere and they end up somewhere else. But Shannon and Steven really helped me refine the final look at the Danny Phantom cast. And it really, to me, started looking really good. Like Jack Fenton especially, that was Shannon Tyndall's design, I believe. Might have been Stevens, I forget, guys, forgive me if I get this wrong, but it was so long ago. But just coming up with that big blocky look for Danny's dad. We wanted kind of a big ex-astronaut sort of a feel, kind of a military sergeant with Jack Fenton, and we thought that'd be really cool. And then Danny's mom, Maddie, you know, always in her science outfit. You know, we never wanted to see her in normal clothes. I don't even think we ever did an episode where she's in normal clothes. We might have. Don't get mad at me if we did, but we always wanted her like in her jumpsuit because she could care less about the real world. She's only a scientist. That's all she wants to do, is be a scientist. And what do those characters look like? You know, what is Jack and Maddie? What do they look like when you put them together? They've got to look great together. Not only have chemistry in their dialogue and their characters, their acting, but they've got to look great together. And then we get to Danny's friends, Sam and Tucker. So we wanted Sam to have a goth feel. That's right, goth. That's the word we used back in the day. I wanted her to have kind of a goth look, and kind of a goth vibe, like she's learned about ghosts, she's knowledgeable about ghosts, and so when Danny tells her, hey, I'm half ghost, it's not a big surprise to her. In fact, she can even help him learn his powers more. And what does Sam look like? I mean, we played around with a bunch of different looks till we finally settled on the classic Sam Manson design. And then Tucker Foley. You know, Tucker, we wanted him to be Danny's tech nerd because Danny's parents have all this technology, and Danny lives in that house, probably isn't allowed to touch all the technology, but when you are fighting ghosts from the ghost zone and you have to go in, you're going to need some technology. So we needed Danny to have a friend who was super smart, who could handle the technology, and not only handle their technology, but create technology of his own. That's where Tucker came in. And it's so funny because we did this show back in 2003, 2004, before the iPhone. I think flip phones were still big back then. We gave Tucker a PDA, his little handheld personal data assistant. We thought that was the epitome of technology, and it was at the time. And if we were to redo the show now, we'd obviously give him a phone, iPad, the whole deal. But back then it was pretty funny. So Tucker was our tech nerd, but what does he look like? Do we do the stereotypical thing and make the smart kid have glasses? Yes, we do. We did that, so that was easy.
That was easy.
Other than that, like, you know, the beret, the combat boots, just the way he looked, designing that character and refining it really was a lot of fun. I mean, trying to figure out what these characters would look like together. Then when you finally get the whole show, the entire lineup put together, and you're happy with it, that's when you start really being able to write the stories, because you can see what the characters look like. It's easier to picture them in your mind. It helps the writers picture them as they're doing the stories and things. And then coming up with the ghosts as well. I mean, how do you design these ghosts? We had to really rack our brains as to how will the Danny Phantom world look. When I first started designing the show, I would just draw these blobby sort of Halloween ghosts, the classic, you know, sheet over a person ghost that everybody sees on Halloween. But then as we got more sophisticated in our designs and we started designing the human characters, we were like, wow, these ghosts have to be very cool. Again, you're thinking, wow, I want the audience to like the heroes, but they gotta like the villains just as much. Like, it's like with Batman and the Joker, there's just as many Joker fans as there are Batman fans. You want to have a villain the audience likes either to hate or to embrace as well. Do they look human? Some of them do. Some of them look like machines. Some of them look like animals. It just really depends on what you want the show to look like and the vibe of the show you're trying to get. So character design is vital when you're coming up with a show, any show, but especially a show like Danny Phantom, where you want the show to have a real iconic look and feel all of its own. So those were some of the original Danny Phantom designs. You may have seen some of those online during the years, but this was a really cool chance for me to put them all into one video so you guys can kind of get a look at them all together. There's probably even a few more out there I didn't include in this video. If you guys want to see them, let me know down in the comment section below. Also, as I scan through my files, you know, working at Nickelodeon for 20 years, I've got a lot of artwork to show for all the shows I've worked on, and I still will have some trickling out as we keep making these videos, so I'll be happy to show you guys those pieces of art as well. Okay guys, let me know if you like this video. Let me know which was your favorite old design of Danny. I'd like to know, because maybe we can maybe do a whole exploratory video on just that one design. Like, what would Danny Phantom have looked like if we designed it that way, okay? Let me know down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, guys. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and art gives you power. Use it wisely. Hey Heart fans, subscribe here to keep up with me, Danny, Timmy, Dudley, Bunsen, and the NOOG Network, my new app full of cartoons, shows, and games. Download it here. Click over here to watch my most recent video, and here to start a playlist related to this video. Whoa, check out that awesome fan art. To be featured here, use hashtag HeartFanArt and tag me. I'm on every social media platform known to man. Cartoon Butch out. Pencil drop.